Good morning. Welcome to a fresh edition of your program on Inside on Leadership Television, that is Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Weber, your host on the program. Today is October 2, 2025. It's just a day after Nigeria's independence anniversary. Of course, we are still in the celebration mood. It's not easy being 65 years old in this age and time, especially when life expectancy for African countries is between 54 and 56 years of age. Nigeria has survived. We've not broken up. We've not disintegrated. We're still one as one country. Congratulations once more to Nigeria. We move ahead to what we have on our menu today, and that is newspaper review. And of course, we normally start with leadership newspaper. Leadership's offering today is on we still have a wraparound on the cover, and atop that we have reactions as Kano governor demands police commissioners removal. Reactions as Kano governor demands police commissioners removal. Oil union suspends strike, urges Dangote refinery to honor agreement. Rift in PDP over Akwa Ibom executive dissolution, and that story continues on page 26 of leadership. We move ahead to page 3 of the paper, where we have our stand. Today's stand is on Dangote refinery must not be held hostage. Yesterday, truce was reached between the oil union and Dangote refinery, with the understanding that Dangote will redeploy most of those disengaged staff to other companies under the Dangote group. And today's stand, Dangote refinery must not be held hostage. Let's take some excerpts from that page 3. Nigeria is standing on the verge of another fuel crisis, and it's not because of global oil shocks or pipeline vandalism this time. It's because the powerful union has decided to pull the plug on the country's most ambitious industrial project, the Dangote refinery. Let's be clear, sacking 800 workers is no minor issue. Every worker matters, and their rights deserve to be protected. But does that justify shutting down crude supply, cutting gas flows, and threatening to plunge the entire country into darkness? No, that's not negotiation. That's blackmail, with 200 million Nigerians as collateral. The Trade Union Congress may see this as a fight for Section 40 of the Constitution, which guarantees workers the right to associate freely. But there is an equally vital constitutional duty here, the obligation to protect the economy and prevent mass suffering. If refineries stop producing, if thermal plants go dark, if petrol queues stretch for miles again, who pays the price? Not union executives, ordinary Nigerians. We move towards the closing, the stand of the newspaper. It says, the federal government, meanwhile, cannot sit on the fence. It must act not as a neutral bystander, but as the protector of national interest. That means ensuring workers are heard, but also ensuring the refinery continues to operate. Because once fuel queues return, once the grid begins to collapse, no one will remember the fine points of Section 40. Nigerians will only remember that their leaders stood by while their daily lives were disrupted. This is a turning point. It will show whether Nigeria can balance workers' rights with investor confidence, or whether we once again descend into crisis because our institutions fail to act with wisdom. It is possible to achieve both justice and stability, but only if all sides pull back from the brink. Dangote refinery represents progress. Pengansa represents workers' rights. These two forces do not have to be enemies. With mutual responsibility, they can coexist. However, if brickmanship continues, the cost will be borne not by Dangote or union leaders, but by the ordinary Nigerian who wants affordable fuel, steady electricity, and a chance to survive in an already challenging economy. Excerpts from today's stand in leadership. Dangote refinery must not be held hostage. This is leadership stand this Thursday, October 2, 2025. We move ahead to review of leadership, where we go to the back page. The back page today, Thursday, is being blunt with Muazu Elize, and he's writing on how should the INEC chairman emerge. You tell us. Of course, you have to find out today, being blunt with Muazu Elize. Ours is a situation where a player in the game appoints the referee, yet we expect a level playing field. Are we serious? Of course, Nigerians, are we serious? And these are ESAP's quotation from the back page of Leadership this Thursday, being blunt with Muazu Elize. How should the INEC chairman emerge? Perhaps they have to take a look once again, or second look, at how INEC chairman should emerge. Ghana Must Go says, why I want Nigeria to happen to me. Of course, Ghana Must Go replied. It's coming from Reno Mokri. That has been trending. Many people now, the balance is pray you don't want Nigeria should not happen to you. But Reno Mokri came out on social media handles to say he wants Nigeria to happen to him. And Ghana Must Go replies, because of when there's Simling, is a question Reno has to answer. And that brings to a close review of front headline stories, the editorial and the back page in today's Leadership newspaper. For more, log in to www.leadership.ng. We move ahead to our newspaper review, and of course we'll take Vanguard newspaper. Nigeria 65 opposition leaders, others take Tinubu to task. Leading story on today's Vanguard newspaper. Nigeria 65 opposition leaders, others take Tinubu to task. Tinubu unmoved, uncaring, and amid hunger bandit attacks coming from Atiku, former vice president of the country. Tinubu unmoved, uncaring, and amid hunger bandit attacks. Nigeria failing under APC, Obi. If the worst is over, why are Nigerians still dying? ADC. We are hungry for food, not statistics. CAN, that is Christian Association of Nigeria. Nigeria's future bleak under leaders with entitlement mentality, coming from Anglican Primate. These are kickers to the leading story on today's Vanguard. Nigeria 65 opposition leaders, others take Tinubu to task. That story continues on page 5 of Vanguard. We have 2027 Amechi Obiutomi Ezekwesili push to end courtroom democracy. That story is on page 8 of Vanguard. Meanwhile, just before the second leading story, we have the picture at the commissioning of Wole Soyinka Center for Culture. Yesterday, we have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, First Lady Remi Tinubu, and Wole Soyinka, the erudite prof, and the Nobel laureate winner, Professor Wole Soyinka, whose center is named after. We also have Elumelu Guest Conscience Award. These are pictures gracing the cover of Vanguard. Iyaloja General is alien to us, Oba of Benin. Of course, we have situations on our hand whereby, I don't know, with Iyaloja, we have it in Lagos market and is extended to Benin. The Oba of Benin has replied that Iyaloja General is alien to us. US shut down visa passport services to continue in Nigeria embassy. Obi Lagos government differ over trade fair complex demolition. We move towards the masthead of Vanguard, and above it, stock market investors earned 1.8 trillion naira in September amid CBN's reforms. Tinubu not jittery about opposition presidency. Death of Arise TV anchor Somto Chukwu jumped from third floor. FCT police boss. Of course, the Arise TV crew had the FCT police boss in virtual interview yesterday, and arising from that, he said Somto Chukwu jumped from third floor. FCT police boss. Pengasa suspends strike after federal government's intervention. And that also concludes review of front headline stories on Vanguard this Thursday. For more, log in to www.vanguardngr.com. From Vanguard, we move ahead to the next paper we have on our lineup. We have for sponsorship. Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune says Dangote Pengasan suspends strike, issues fresh threat. How federal government brokered truth over dispute.
Last word.
Scarcity of cooking gas hit Lagos. Vendors sell 1,600 naira per kg. Don't sell our assets in oil industry. ADC cautions Tinubu. Report warns Nigeria of declining global oil demands, urges focus on non-oil exports, tax reforms. Health News Today says eating more fruits protect lungs against air pollution. Second leading story on the cover of Nigerian Tribune this Thursday. Probe attempt to pay out 12.75 billion naira Osun local government funds as legal fees. PDP ask IGP EFCC. Probe attempts to pay out 12.75 billion naira Osun local government funds as legal fees. PDP asks IGP EFCC. PDP is confused. Party should be ignored. APC spokesman. Kogi government mourns as 26 feared kid, others missing in both accidents. May their souls rest in peace. And that takes us to the stories above the masthead of Nigerian Tribune. Lagos government forced Obi on trade fair demolition. Insists buildings had no approval. Lastly, on the cover of Nigerian Tribune, Kwara security forces attack kidnappers' hideouts. Government urges limited movement as we conclude review this Thursday of Nigerian Tribune. For more, log into the website of Nigerian Tribune newspaper. The next paper we have on our lineup is the Punch newspaper. Punch's leading story says, still on Pegasus strike. Pegasus strike. NNPC laments losses as union holds action. 60% of crude output, 30% of gas supply disrupted during strike. Dispute risk economic stability, federal government.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last.
Trending story on social media, of course, is sitting beside the masthead of the Punch. Nigerians languish in prisons after Ethiopia stores MOU. Kogi boat crash. Death toll hits 26 Tinubu months. Nigerians 8 months debt service bill hits $2.86 billion CBN. Nigerian arrested for attempted trafficking of daughter to Iraq. Wale Tinubu bags Africa Energy Award in South Africa.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Crime proceeds recovered in 1 year coming from EFCC, and that also concludes review of front headline stories on the Punch this Thursday. For more, log in to the website of the Punch newspaper. We move to the next paper we have on our lineup, and that is the Daily Times.
Thank you for watching.
The
For
Daily
sponsorship
Times says
and advert.
NNPCL shares will undermine energy sovereignty. ADC warns Tinubu. Divesting NNPCL shares will undermine energy sovereignty. ADC warns Tinubu. That story continues on page 2 of the Daily Times. Nigeria is betrayed by leadership failure, says Obi. Pengassan suspends strike, threatens immediate action if agreement fails. Find Somi's killers, family tells federal government. Sanuto federal government release withheld salaries now or face crisis. Private sector growth holds as cost inflation eases to 5-year low. And lastly, on the cover of the Daily Times, atop it, the worst is over, Tinubu declares, assures Nigerians of better days ahead. And that also concludes review of front headline stories on the Daily Times this Thursday. For more, log into the website of the Daily Times newspaper. From the Daily Times, we move ahead to the next paper.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158.
Union suspend strike. Refinery to redeploy reabsorbed workers. Second leading story. Benue anxiety trace Remi Tinubu's 1 billion naira Yele water IDP's lifeline. We suffer neglect. First Lady's intervention our only hope. Coming from IDPs. We are taking care of them. Report on disbursement to be presented to Governor Elia soon. Committee. 6 kid in Jato Akagon duel. That story runs on page 14 of Blueprint newspaper. Benue anxiety trace Remi Tinubu's 1 billion naira Yele water IDP's lifeline. We suffer neglect. First Lady's intervention our only hope. Coming from the IDPs. And the committee set up to manage the funds says we are taking care of them. Report on disbursement to be presented to Governor Elia soon. Why says kid in Jato Aka gone dwell. May the souls of those rest in peace. 2027, Lukman cries out over hijack of ADC structures. Urges El-Rufai orders to stop the madness in court. Just beneath the masthead of Blueprint, more opposition governors said to join APC, coming from the Senate President Godswill Akpabio. Nigerians' reserves hit 6-year high on $5.28 billion, second quarter 2025 surplus. And in sports, under 20 World Cup, Flying Eagles seek redemption against Saudi Arabia. And that concludes the review of front headline stories of Blueprint newspaper this Thursday, October 2,
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 08036886158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Edition of the program. Meanwhile, we have news on the hour on this stage, on this same station. Thanks for joining us.
Be part of our brand. Leadership for God and country. Leadership for God and country.